Writing this review was one of the hardest reviews I've ever done so far. The game was just so strange. While playing it and after playing it, it was hard to put my thoughts together on what I thought about this game. But it finally did after a little bit of time after playing the game, and I compare this to a pinball machine. The pinball machine, the core action mechanics that you're doing is really, really satisfying. And I love that it can also be short and sweet, but also can be as long as you want it to be. But to be honest, the rest of the pinball experience is not really great. It's forgettable, which is what I compare Rage 2 to about. Welcome to my review of Rage 2. For all my reviews, except for this one now, because there will be no spoiler talk for Rage 2. Rage 2 is a game that I don't feel warrants another video of making a spoiler talk about. There just isn't enough in this game to warrant a spoiler talk, so there will not be one for this game. If you're going to, the only thing that's a spoil is the very, very end of the game. It's not even a big move at all whatsoever. If you want to talk about that, feel free to do it in the comments below. All I ask is that you just put a spoiler warning on your comment, but there will be no spoiler talk. Now, the sequel, Rage 2, is a sequel to the original Rage, which I had personally never played before, but they do a really good job in explaining on how that has happened, what happened in the first game, that you kind of understand what's going on. The world ended due to a meteor strike, and that this is the first game, and humanity, there's a wasteland, and humanity's got wasted over, and now they have something called the Authority that was trying to take over, an evil force. And you as the players in the first game is meant to stop that. And you do. You push them back and you think you got rid of them. So you thought, because in the second game, it's all about payback. After much time has passed, they had riled their forces and come back stronger than ever before. And now as a new character, you have to stop them once and for all, hopefully. Now, the story is nothing to brag about. I think it's extremely simple, and with that, the characters end up not spending as much time with them, and therefore you don't really care about any of the characters that you're with. The story is very forgettable, but also I think it's very short and simple. The game, in story-wise, like I said, is short and simple, and the main story has a total of 9 missions, and to complete and beat the game, you have to complete these 9 missions. And it took me about 10 to 12 hours to complete the main story missions total. And the story ended up, I didn't care about anything about it. In the end, I just didn't care, which in fact, the fact that it was short and simple was to its actual benefit. Because if this was a longer game, if this was a 30-hour game, if this was a 40-hour game, I would have been totally checked out of this game past that 12-hour mark. I think 12 hours was plenty of time in this experience. By the time I ended the game, I felt like I could put the controller down and just be done and not have to play this game anymore. I might come back to it to play a little bit of the extra stuff on the side for a bit, but to be honest, it's not making me go back and want to play it again for a second playthrough. It's nothing that it's nothing to brag about. And the story does not help in that aspect. The game was made in collaboration of 2 different studios. Id Software, that made the Doom franchise, and Avalanche Studios, which made the Just Cause franchise, and then the Mad Max. And the reason why I bring Mad Max up, you'll find out in a second. But it unfortunately shows, and not in a good way, that this clearly was made by 2 studios, and one did the better part and one did not do the best part of the game. And you could tell that Id Software was working on the shooting and player mechanics while Avalanche Studios did everything else. And I can tell you, Id Software is known for doing great shooting, and they're the one that did the better part. This, I will say, is one of my favorite first-person shooters I've played in quite some time. Just the first-person shooting part of the game, not the whole game. Just this first-person shooting aspect of the game. I've played Doom in the past, and I felt like the speed of Doom was too quick for my taste, but I can understand why they were going with that, and can understand why people enjoy that kind of speed. This felt like the Doom game, but a little bit slower paced in regards to the speed of how everything was going. And I was cool with that. After getting my hands on it, I felt like it was extremely satisfying in that aspect. There's a lot of abilities and weapons that you get that encourage creativity and a lot of different ways of taking out enemies and fun ways of taking out enemies. It was just extremely exciting throughout the entire process. You can have abilities that could do like a fist stomp on the bottom that just explodes the entire area around you. You can do a quick blink mechanic similar to Dishonored, where you can just zoom to a quick zone and get in a better positioning to take out an opponent. There's just so many ways you can force push someone basically in an aspect. I think it was like it's like a beam blast, but it's more like a force push. There's just so many ways of handling it in every way, and I just absolutely loved it. But the best part about it was the headshots. The headshots is the greatest headshots I've experienced in games in a long, long time. And there's so many aspects about the headshot that just make it work, and I'm going to break it down for you. It's the explosion of the head of just how big it is. It literally is an explosion of the head when you do a headshot. Health components come out of the opponent and they shoot from the head, which is even more satisfying. It's like an explosion and things come out of the head. And then on top of that, there's this really satisfying crunch sound that it makes every time you get that shot. And it's to the point where I felt like it was constantly motivating me to keep getting more headshots. And I just kept wanting to get more headshots. And I felt disappointed when I didn't get a headshot. It was just constantly fun and exciting in all aspects in that area. And unfortunately, for the rest of the game, it's just not up to par. You know, the end of the world is not the best of settings. And so you got to be creative when you do that kind of setting. And for this, it just isn't unique and interesting enough to look at because it's really barren. And unfortunately, they don't do anything creative enough to really bring out some flavor, or, you know, for how colorful this game is in regards to the cover art and all that. You don't get that feeling from the environments that are there. It feels like every other one with some neon lights occasionally. It just didn't feel unique enough for my taste, and I just wish they did something more bolder and broader. Yeah, there are areas and zones that each feel unique in regards to one's a jungle, one's a swamp, one's a barren wasteland, but that's not enough. That's not enough. You got to do more. You got to do more to create a better feel of the environment. And to get everywhere, you have to do stuff by driving. You know, driving is a big component of this game. And unfortunately, you know, the driving is not that amazing. You know, you run into areas where you can do things like, you know, you'll have caravans where you have to take them out, and it's because you have guns on your vehicle. You take them out by shooting them. And, you know, unfortunately, I did not like how the driving mechanics work. You do things like stadium races too, and you also have you can do street races on random, but to be honest, it felt really stiff. The driving mechanics overall was really, really stiff, and I just didn't feel right to me. I thought it should be more loose, but I understand why they were doing it, because you have to shoot from the vehicle and have better control of the camera. But the driving mechanics were not my cup of tea in regards to how I liked them to feel, and so I just wasn't motivated to go do any more of the driving stuff. And again, the areas are very dull and boring, so it's not another motivator to go do the races and go through the environments. They just weren't fun and exciting. And, you know, besides the driving mechanics, there's more things you can do. You can take out enemy camps. You can destroy fuel that they're protecting by enemies. You can get more weapons and abilities that are being protected by enemies. You see what I'm getting at? Everything is guarded by enemies, which is not a bad thing, because again, the gunplay is amazing in this game. I enjoyed the gunplay, is the best part about this game. So to give me reasons to keep doing gunplay kept me going throughout this entire game. And, you know, it does have that shortened main plot, so there are so many more opportunities to do so many more things in this game. And like I said, it wasn't powerful enough for me to want to go keep completing those things, that honestly, you can do enough of the main story and just be done. Now, for weaponry, you can go out and get different kinds of weapons, and you know, you only get three of them you only get three different weapons going through the main plot of the game, but you can get more by doing a lot more side stuff. And you don't really have to, though. There's no full reason for you need to go out and go find them. So it is satisfying when you do get some cool weapons out of it, but to be honest, it's not necessarily necessary. Now, I think there are two big bugs in this game that really, really bugged me. One was extreme, and then the other one was something minor. I played this game a couple days ago, so it's possible that they could have fixed the bugs since then. But these are the two I ran into because it's part of my experience that I ran into with this game. First is the audio completely cut out of the game. When I was leaving the city to go into the open world, all the audio cut from the game, and it would not come back. I had to close the game and reopen the game completely. Completely close the game and reopen the game, basically completely, like not going back to the main menu and loading the game, but shut down the game and then relaunch it. The other one, which was the bigger issue, was the other compelling part about, the 9 mission structure that they kind of have. 8 of those missions to lead to the 9th mission, you can do them at different paces because they're from 3 different people, give you a list of missions you must complete. So you can do them at any order, which is great. I actually really like that. The thing is, when you get all those 8 missions done, the 9th mission will open up. So I completed all 8 missions, and all of a sudden the 9th one just didn't open up. And I was like, what's going on? I'm so confused. So I was like, oh, maybe I have to go drive for a bit. And then all of a sudden they'll say, hey, you need to go to this location. So I drove for a little bit. Nothing happened there. I thought, oh, maybe I should go talk to this person. Maybe they'll help me activate the mission. So I went to go talk to them. They gave me nothing. So finally, I don't know what else to do. So I looked up a walkthrough on IGN just to double check if I was doing things right. Thank God for walkthroughs. Thank you, IGN. And, I checked that and they confirmed everything that I was doing, which was, you have to go there. You have to complete all the missions, and then all of a sudden the 9th mission will appear for you. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. So then I think this was about an hour in of just trying to figure out what to do. I finally shut down the game completely and then relaunched the game again, and all of a sudden, boom, it appeared on my map. But it didn't, there was no prompt to. So I would have completely missed it if the first instinct I had was to check my map. So I think that was a real bad bug. And if this is a normal bug that people run into, this is going to be really bad because that's the last mission of the game, and people are going to think, I don't know what to do to get the last mission, and they might not think to shut off the game because with these new consoles, you don't have to necessarily shut off the game anymore. You can put it in a rest mode where it can still be on there and not have to shut down the game completely, and people might not think of that. So that's just my other big one that I did not like at all whatsoever. But honestly, the game is a real blast, and the shooting of the enemies was so exciting, and finding reasons to go do that, which this game does multiple times, I think is great for the game. But to be honest, the rest of it was absolutely boring. I found myself constantly bored, and again, bored, but yet when I get to the shooting part, so excited all at the same time. It was just such a disconnect. And again, that's where I think the 2 different studios, that's where that disconnect got created. And, I recommend this game to a person possibly that doesn't have as much time in their life to play games and they love playing games and you want to play a first-person shooter. I recommend this one for the reason of that, it's a 12-hour campaign. It's not a 40-hour. It's not a 50-hour campaign, not even a 30-hour one. So you have time to be able to go through the game and experience a lot of different things. And I think that's really compelling for a person that doesn't have much time on their hands. And obviously there is a lot more time you can spend on this. You probably could spend 15 more hours on this game doing all the side stuff. So there is a lot here. It's just not as compelling as just doing all the shooting things, which thank God shooting is probably, I'd say, a little over half of the game. So I recommend it to them. But then at the same time, I spent $60 full price on this game, and I do not recommend buying this game at full price. I would wait until it's at a discount of maybe $40 at least before I would purchase this game. So, but to be honest, again, the experience was so much fun, and I could not wait every single time, and I still cannot wait if I go pick up the game again later on and play it again. of just getting that headshot. And that is my review of Rage 2. What did you think about the game? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this content, I have tons more here on the channel of Freeze Frame Rate. Check it out. And if you like it, give it that thumbs up. Share it with your friends. And if you want to keep up with everything that's happening on the channel, just hit the subscribe button. You don't even hit the bell. You just have to hit the subscribe button. It's really easy. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Mitch, and I'm signing off saying, see you soon.